We are all packed up behind me. We are about to leave to go to the airport because we are going to Adelaide today. And we're gonna show you some of the best and coolest reasons as to why Adelaide is a super sick place to visit if you're in Australia. Cheers.
Delicious.
It's very tasty, isn't it? Are you Australian and stuck here and potentially wondering where you might need to travel this year that's a little bit different, might make you feel a little bit excited because we can't go anywhere else? Or you're from somewhere else and you're just thinking, hopefully one day I'll get to go to Australia. Well, there are some cool places to go in Australia, but one of the most underrated places is probably Adelaide, especially if you love food and a little wine and potentially gin. So if you love food and you love drinking, Adelaide can be pretty cool. So what is awesome about Adelaide and why should you go there? Well, first, food and wine is awesome.
Yes. Well, I've been living in Brisbane for 15, 16 years now. Right, so a long time. And obviously the earlier part of my life I lived in Adelaide. And Adelaide takes a big steaming dump on Brisbane in terms of the food scene.
I think Brisbane has some alright places and some cool things to do, but there is 100% more awesome places to have like dinner or try different cultures or like lunches and brunches and quality things in Adelaide. And I think because they have so much competition, because there's so many good places, they all have to provide something that's a good quality product and it's actually nice.
Yeah, so if it sucks, people won't go there.
Because they've got other places they can go. We ate some very delicious food in Adelaide. We had nice breakfast quite a few times. We had some delicious Afghan food for lunch, which is something that's really popular in Adelaide, right? They have a lot more Afghan restaurants than we do here in Brisbane.
Yeah.
It was really nice. We had Thai food, delicious. We went to a few fancy places. We had a degustation there, which was
pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty good. And like, it was not very expensive for what you pay, and you got a lot of food. So that's always another bonus as well. So yes, very delicious food, very delicious wine in Adelaide. And moving into Adelaide wines, so the city is very close to the wine country. You don't have to travel very far away from the city to be able to go and visit wine country. We seem to tend to go to a winery or distilleries or like go to one of the wine country areas pretty much every time that we go to Adelaide now. This time we went to McLaren Vale. We went to, what was the first place called that we went to?
No idea.
No idea.
Yeah. We had some wine and we had some pizza.
We did a wine tasting at a place. We'll figure out what it's called later, maybe. But we had wine and pizza there. And then we went to a place which has just recently opened, we've been told. And it's called Never Never Distillery. And that's where we got these bad boys from. And you can actually see it's like, this is their vintage gin. It's called Freaky. And it's a bit cloudy. But Never Never Distillery, we bought this bottle to bring home. We did a gin tasting there. It was pretty awesome. They always have something different and like creative when you go to Adelaide for us to bring home.
Yeah. Look, they always just have nice little venues for you to hang out a little bit. And it's always very, very relaxing. Like in comparison to like, let's say for example, like New Zealand's like wine island, it was just probably a bit easier to do everything. And
in Adelaide compared to New Zealand.
It was just a bit nicer.
Yeah, like the actual like wine actually tasted good in Adelaide. So Adelaide is really nice and close to wine country. So if you're into doing wine tastings and gin tastings and things like that, awesome place to visit. It is also very close to beaches. So Adelaide isn't really well known for its beaches, but they have some beautiful little beachside places there, and they're actually also really close to the city.
Yeah, like I mean, you've got like Henley Beach, Glenelg, Semaphore and stuff like that, which, well, Semaphore's a little bit further away, but if you're looking to be secluded in a white beach or something, that's not going to happen there. But It's
It's
still
quite
nice.
busy.
It's still nice enough.
But it's beautiful. It's a fantastic place for swimming and for sunbathing, hanging out. They have restaurants there that are actually really nice. And unlike most sort of like really touristy, beachy places where the food isn't very good and really overpriced, the venues there where you can like eat and get ice cream or breakfast or whatever it is actually like really good. Like, and it's not much more overpriced than like places in just, you know, normal local areas of Adelaide.
Yeah, well, I think it just goes back to the first thing that we were talking about, where the food and wine is just 1,000 times better than most places.
Yes, this is probably correct. So Adelaide has quite a few weather changes as well, and I don't know whether everyone sees that as a good thing, but if you live in Queensland where it is constantly pretty much the same weather all the time, it's actually really nice to experience something different.
Yeah. Like when you're in Brisbane, and like let's say if you're coming from like a European country where it actually gets cold, I guess Brisbane's really nice because it is like take a smelly wet sock, and that's the weather for Brisbane. It's like warm, it's juicy, it smells a bit all the time. But whereas in Adelaide, it gets colder, the air is crisper.
It does get hot as well.
And it's just a bit nice. It's just a bit nicer. You get to go to sleep when it's cold.
You get a variation of weather.
Except from, you know, in comparison to the smelly socks.
Where it's just smelly sock all day, every day. 365 days of the year. Woo! It is nice though, like obviously Brisbane is beautiful for its weather as well, but once you're always here, you want what you don't have. You want to experience something different, and it is nice for that to go there and experience a little bit of crispy weather and have something that's not smelly sock. It's pretty easy to get everywhere in Adelaide compared to Queensland, I think. Everything's a little bit closer.
Yeah, everything's a bit closer, but be prepared to drive at about 15 k's an hour everywhere. Even though everything is close, you have to go very slowly everywhere.
Enjoy the scenery.
Yeah, so.
Well,
Don't take it what it is. It still doesn't take very long to get everywhere, but you kind of don't need your car. You may as well just
catch a bus.
Yeah. Gross.
Slides nicely into our next one. Enjoy the scenery because Adelaide is full of lovely, lovely architecture and beautiful, beautiful houses. It's very different style to other places in Australia, especially to here in Queensland. The architecture in Adelaide is stunning, and there's still lots of those old houses and old buildings that are very much intact and still there, and they're everywhere.
Yeah, and I think it caters to the climate of Adelaide, where it gets cold, you know, like whereas in Brisbane, once again, like it never gets cold, so you can get away with a house made out of sticks, you know, like whereas if you get a stick house and you bring it to Adelaide, you won't be able to live there. You will just freeze and die. You've got no sticks.
No drama over here either. It's also a little bit cheaper. I think, like when we booked our hotel, we don't usually stay in hotels when we go to Adelaide, but we have once before, and we stayed right in the middle of the city, and it was so much less expensive than what you would pay here.
Yeah, I think it costs like under $100 a night.
Yeah, and this is for a really lovely place as well, like not like an old motel-y type place, a nice place.
Yeah, the room was massive.
And modern, clean, beautiful, and really, yeah, a lot less expensive. And I think that goes for everything, like buying houses. You always say that it's cheaper to buy a house in Adelaide than it is.
Relatively cheaper, you know, in comparison to all the other major cities. But yeah, like I think you can buy something either bigger or nicer that's closer to the city in comparison to, let's say, somewhere like here in Brisbane.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Adelaide. You have not been to Adelaide unless you have visited the markets. So Adelaide has some super fab markets, and every single time we go to Adelaide, we specifically go to these central markets, but there's a few others that are pretty good as well that are definitely worth a visit, especially if you're into food and different kinds of things to see and try and eat. But Adelaide Central Markets are the bomb. They have been there forever.
Yeah.
And they have everything.
I think it's actually like in one of the top 10 tourist destinations in all of Australia. The markets. Yeah. Like, you know, next to the Opera House and like...
Which is crazy.
Other like land features.
I'd probably much rather go to the markets than to the Opera House.
Yeah, you can eat.
Because you can eat. There's so much to try there.
No, you can eat it as well in the Opera House, but I think you can probably get a bit more for
your money.
Yeah.
And variety, like you can get donuts, and then you can get empanadas, and you can get beautiful Italian sandwiches. You can get yogurt and ice cream and fruits, and we get peanut butter every time.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Everything. Middle Eastern food, Asian food, South American food, European food.
They have it all.
Yeah.
And they are probably our most amazing reasons why you need to go and visit Adelaide. Adelaide is lovely. But you know what? Brisbane did bring you one good thing.
Yeah, Brisbane's pretty good too. We should probably do like a reason why Brisbane, like, because it obviously sounds like I'm just, you know, flaming Brisbane for like 20 minutes, but
obviously likes it for something.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. There are some good stick houses around here.
But anyways, guys, if you're looking for somewhere interesting to go this year, check out Adelaide, especially if you're trying to escape from that heat. Go in winter, it really packs a punch there and is nice and cold. So definitely, if you want a little bit of a cultural holiday, feeling like you're off in some European wonderland, then Adelaide's probably about as good as you're gonna get for now. We will see you in our next video, which might be at the coast. Us eating delicious foods in the coast of Queensland. So bringing it right back to the hometown summer life.
Yay.
Yay. We'll see you next time, guys.